guys, it's Tessa. I know the last time I tried to make a circle skirt, it did not go too well. It's currently titled, I think, the most annoying or frustrating project I've ever made. And it's because I was stupid. And I used a poly cotton blend, or like a spandex blend, I don't remember what it was. But it was just kind of a pain to work with. It was the worst. But today, we are trying again. This time, I'm using 100% cotton and this lovely like fall-esque sort of pattern. It's got a lot of browns and reds, oranges, and like a nice mustardy yellow. And I'm going to use this to try to make a circle skirt again. And this time, we're gonna be successful. Do I have a pattern for this? You might be asking yourself. No, I don't. But if I use the information from the last video and I measure my waist, put those numbers in the mood circle skirt calculator, I should be able to figure it out. I'm hoping I have enough fabric for the entire skirt, so the skirt panel themselves as well as the waistband. I'm unsure if I'll have enough for the waistband as well. If that's the case, I'm probably just going to use a flat brown cotton fabric I have for the waistband and any other pieces that are needed. So if I need to make a pocket, I'll use that for the inside of the pocket versus using this fabric, because I do only have, I think, either 1.5 yards or 2 yards of this. I don't really remember. I bought this on my birthday, so if you want to see what other fabrics I got that day, you can check out the yarn, fabric, and decor haul video. I'm kind of ranty in it, but it is what it is. So today we are trying to make this skirt. My goal is to make it over the course of about 3 to 4 days. That's not including the work time frame. So after work for 3 days is my plan to finish it, or work on it and finish it. Today is Tuesday, so I'm hoping to have this done by Friday. And we will find out if I will. Let's get to cutting. Alright, so I figured I should explain kind of what you're seeing here. I went to Mood Fabrics, their website. You can really just search circle skirt calculator and then put mood, MOOD, next to it, and it should be the first link. But basically, you just input your total waist measurement. I personally recommend doing it while you're sitting down so you get your full sizing, if that makes sense. So the full size, because you want it still to be comfortable while you're sitting, but not so loose while you're standing that it's falling off. So I kind of measure both of those, and then I take the middle number, and I add that into the mood calculator. I also have the option to pick the length of the skirt as well as the fullness. I personally like a full circle skirt, so full 360. And so I went with that. It gave me my information. I believe I needed to go 7.8 inches from that point there. I had to go 7.8 inches from that and make that semicircle. And then from there, you can kind of pick your length based on whatever you want. I just used the length of the fabric. That kind of is why the skirt becomes so short, or is so short to begin with, is because I just chose to do that. And the length of this fabric, I think, was only 45 inches across. So if I went with a typical 60-inch across, I'd get a little bit of extra length, but again, it doesn't really matter too much to me. You'll see later on, I did a couple things to ensure that the length worked for me. The other thing I wanted to note here is circle skirts can be done a couple different ways. The most common being you just take one seam, cut up that side, and add either a zipper closure or something else there, and boom, the only thing you have is a single seam to deal with. You'll see that I have cut my skirt into 3 pieces. 2 are about a quarter of the skirt each, while the third piece is about half of the skirt. I did this to ensure that I could insert the pockets nicely. That full half panel will be the front panel, while the 2 quarter pieces are going to be the side back pieces. I added a zipper down the center of the back of it. So in theory, I didn't necessarily need to have all 3 seams. However, I felt that was easier for me. It worked out great for me. But that is an option you can do. Some people also only cut it into 2 pieces, so you can have your zipper and a pocket on one side and then just a pocket on the other.
It really depends on what you want out of your skirt. Some people even do a certain type of pocket where you really aren't even cutting into the fabric. You're cutting like a single small slit and then the pocket lays flat against the fabric. I kind of explained that poorly, but I'll explain it better in another video.
The first thing I'm doing here is lining up my side seams, and then I'm going to add my pockets in. The strategy with this is to make sure that these pockets lay completely flat in the skirt panels. So the only way you can really see them is if my hands are in there, or if you're looking at the seams, you'll be able to find the pockets. Okay, so I attached the first row of the waistband, and last you saw, because I didn't realize my camera battery died, I was pinning the excess to the wrong side so that I could essentially have both sides of the waistband on. But I realized about halfway through doing that at some point in time I pinched the fabric. So this like pleat here isn't supposed to be there. There should be a smooth transition to where the pocket is to the next panel. So in theory it should sit flat like this, but there shouldn't be this pleat in the way. So as much as I hate it, I'm gonna unpick the waistband, reline up everything, and then re-sew it all. And hopefully we'll have better luck this time. I don't know. But let's hope. Currently I'm using my quilting clips. You can even see that. I'm using my quilting clips to hold the pockets and the skirt layer together, because when you're installing pockets like this, you want to make sure your pockets are installed into the waistband, because if you don't do that and you put like your phone in there or your keys in there, it's going to weigh down the skirt and cause it to bevel a certain way, which I don't want. I'd like to be able to wear this skirt anytime I want. So the way it's been done initially here, because I will forget to show you later, is you can see that for the most part this pocket was straight and then it curves down. And with that, we've attached it to the waistband. So in theory, if I put a bunch of weight in here, all that weight is gonna be supported by the waistband. And the way I plan to flip it up and over, I plan on extending the length of the piece of the waistband that goes onto the back of the fabric. I plan on laying it flat like this and covering the exposed seams of the initial waistband. And with that, if I bring it just a little bit past that line, I'll be able to do something called stitch in the ditch, which just means where these two seams meet, I will do a stitching line right here. No. I will do a stitching line right here. I think I'm gonna use the brown thread as my top thread for it still, so even if you see it, it's really subtle. But you quite literally go as close to this edge as you possibly can and stitch into it without going over the edge to either side. And then with this side being a little bit longer, I plan on folding it under itself if I have enough extra fabric. And then I believe it's called, technically it's a felling stitch, I believe, in the Victorian times. I might be wrong. Or a fell stitch, I don't really remember. I used to do a lot of Victorian sewing, or at least I knew how to do a lot of Victorian hand sewing. I don't do it a lot anymore. But then I am gonna do that stitch across the entire thing to hold all the exposed seams at the waist. That's kind of the plan. I'm gonna keep pinning this and then stripping off the waistband, and we'll try again. Alright, what you see me doing here is something called hand whip stitching. Basically, it's just something that Victorians did, or a lot of historical sewing has done, where you take your exposed edge and you just fold it over itself to where that edge is no longer visible. And then you just very carefully, and you insert your needle into the folded edge we just created. And then you go into just the layer, like the very top layer of the other fabric. So you'll see here I have my left and my right fabric. My right fabric is that little folded edge. My left fabric is just the inside of the skirt panel. And I'm only picking up like the top 2-3 stitches and then pulling my needle back through. Because I'm purposely trying not to have any of these little stitches show on the outside of the fabric. Okay, so I am using this quilt binding because it's the thickest binding I could find at Joann's. Plus, I hate making my own binding. It drives me nuts. I'm just not good at it. I struggled a few times just to attach a second piece of binding. It's a whole thing. Anyway, basically what I'm doing here is making sure that I'm only really catching probably a quarter of the main skirt piece on the actual binding while I'm pinning it. Additionally, when I fold that piece back over, because this is something called a double fold binding, which just means it's 4 folds in total that's sandwiched together, so there's no exposed seams. But when I flip that other side up and it covers nicely, what should happen, I should be able to feel about a quarter length of the main skirt fabric, and then I should be able to feel as well just the binding for about half an inch, I'd say, all the way around. So by positioning it the way I did, I gave myself just about an extra half an inch or so to work with for the length. It's not much, but it was nice and does add a decent amount of help. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. I'm really thinking for this cute combination for this skirt, might be making a, sorry if you hear my dog at all, but I think a cute combination piece for the skirt would be making or buying like a cream colored, like either turtleneck or just sweater in general. I think it would look really cute. It would really fit into like the fall aesthetic. I still have these shoes in our closet that I think would look really cute with it as well. But I think I was successful in making the redemption skirt. That black skirt, terrible, awful, we hate her. This skirt, pretty damn good. I think the only real issue with this skirt is just how short it is. It's real short, and I keep readjusting it to make sure nothing is showing in the back, but it's really short. I think if I lose a little bit more weight, it'll sit a little lower, which will make, obviously, the length a little longer. But that's also why I did that trick here with the waistband. Essentially, the actual skirt piece ends about here, which I think does improve the overall length, but it's so minor, it's not really that much. But yeah, I hope you like this week's video. Let me know if you have any questions on the skirt below or any other questions at all. See you next week.